Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and coming up in today's newscast, over 320 people have now been diagnosed with the coronavirus in the state of Israel. We'll break down all of Israel's newest regulations surrounding the pandemic. And is Israel's coronavirus vaccine going to be released to the public sooner than we think? Well, we have the scoop. The Israeli Health Ministry has announced 20 more cases of the coronavirus today, meaning that there are now 324 confirmed cases in the state of Israel. And 5 are currently in serious condition, while another 9 are moderately ill, and the rest are displaying only light symptoms. The Israeli government has just released new restrictions amid the spread of the disease to keep more Israelis at home, which we will get to shortly. And Israeli Economy Minister Eli Cohen says that Israel is still considering the possibility of a full lockdown to further slow the spread of the disease. Now, as cases of the coronavirus grow in Israel, the IDF Homefront Command says there are plans to convert several hotels across the country into quarantine facilities for coronavirus carriers who are exhibiting only light symptoms. Tel Aviv's Dan Panorama Hotel and Jerusalem's Dan Hotel are among the facilities that will be used to help relieve some of the burden on Israel's hospitals. The Foreign Ministry is also on a mission to bring back hundreds of Israelis who have been stranded in Peru as countries in South America begin to close their borders to try to stem the spread of the coronavirus. El Al airline will help pick up and return those young Israelis home. And in the meantime, Israel is preparing for upcoming major national events. The country's Memorial Day and Independence Day ceremonies will be taking place without audiences, and smaller events will be canceled outright to preserve public health. Now, all Israelis who are now working from home or are in quarantine or on leave are being advised to only leave home when absolutely necessary. The Finance Ministry is estimating that the coronavirus pandemic will cause $12 billion in damage to the Israeli economy, especially following the latest regulations that have just been laid out by the Israeli government. If you're feeling overwhelmed by all of the information being thrown at you surrounding the coronavirus pandemic in Israel, stay calm. We're going to break down everything you need to know.
How many people have coronavirus in Israel?
As of this very moment, 3 p.m. on March 17th, 2020, there are an estimated 324 known cases of coronavirus in Israel, but that number will probably have risen by the time that you watch this.
But what are the symptoms?
Coronavirus is a respiratory illness. A person who has the coronavirus usually develops a fever, fatigue, and a cough. Shortness of breath, aches and pains, a sore throat, headaches, and other mild symptoms are also possible, but are less common. But symptoms vary based on the person, and some people who get the virus don't even exhibit any symptoms at all. So it's important to note that coronavirus symptoms usually take an average of 5 to 6 days to appear.
Is that why Israel is advocating for social distancing?
Exactly. The Israeli government wants as many people as possible to stay home so that they stay away from one another and it's harder for the disease to spread. They're asking for people to stay at least 2 meters or 6.5 feet away from one another in public spaces, because even if you aren't exhibiting coronavirus symptoms and feel healthy, you could still have the disease and be spreading it.
So how does the coronavirus actually spread?
Coronavirus spreads through droplets of bodily fluids like saliva or mucus. It can be spread through coughing or sneezing on someone else or touching a surface where the virus still lives and then touching your mouth or nose or your eyes.
What happens if I get the coronavirus? Am I gonna die?
Right now, statistics show that the vast majority of cases are not life-threatening. 80% of cases are mild. Only 20% of cases can manifest into something that's more severe that requires hospitalization and being put on ventilators. And as of now, only between 1 to 2% of cases lead to death. But remember, that rate is much lower for young people and much higher for seniors. And those who have unmanaged underlying chronic diseases also have a tougher time overcoming the coronavirus. Even if you aren't in a risk group, by exposing yourself to others, you are putting lives at risk. So keep that in mind every time you go out.
I think I have the coronavirus. What should I do?
Do not go to the emergency room or a local health clinic. The Israeli Health Ministry is urging those who think they might have the coronavirus to call 101 or star 5400. That's the Magen David Adom emergency service or the Israeli Health Ministry. And medics will come to your house to administer lab tests. That way, in case you are sick, you won't spread the infectious disease any further.
So what are the latest regulations in Israel to slow down the spread of the disease? Is Israel going into full lockdown?
No, as of now, Israel's not going into full lockdown. Israeli Economy Minister Eli Cohen says Israel is still considering the possibility to further slow the spread of the disease, but no decision has been made yet.
So do I need to run to the supermarket and stock up on food?
No, supermarkets and pharmacies will remain open. There's no need to panic. There will not be a food shortage in Israel. Food is still being imported into Israel from abroad, and Israel has enough local agricultural resources to self-sustain.
So what will stay open?
All essential services will stay open. That includes healthcare centers, security services, police units, the postal service, and banks.
What are the businesses that need to close?
As of now, all places of leisure have to close. We're talking malls, restaurants, bars, dance clubs, massage and beauty salons, gyms, pools, amusement and water parks, heritage sites, retail and clothing shops, basically any place that you would go to enjoy yourself. Also schools, universities, kindergartens, and after-school activities are also shuttered, and it's forbidden to go to parks, playgrounds, the beach, libraries, museums, or other public places. Just because you're working from home, it doesn't mean you're on vacation.
Okay, but can I still walk my dog?
Yes, you are allowed to walk your dog, but just so he can do his business, and then it's straight back home.
Can I still order takeout?
As of now, yes, restaurants that provide takeout services are allowed to keep on delivering food as long as there are 10 or less people working in their business.
What about hanging out with my friends?
The Israeli government is banning gatherings of 5 people or more, so keep that in mind if you meet up with anybody.
Is public transportation still running?
Public transportation lines traveling towards food, shopping centers, healthcare centers, and workplaces will continue to operate, but night lines going towards education systems and entertainment centers will be canceled, and also bus stops at non-essential locations will be canceled. And passengers are also no longer allowed to use cash. They can only pay with their Rav-Kav travel card. Also, stay away from the driver and out of the first row of seats.
Are public sector government offices still functioning?
Yes, but 80% of their staff are now being placed on paid leave.
What about private sector businesses and companies?
Businesses and companies that have 10 or more people are required to curb their in-office staff by 70%. Bosses and CEOs can choose to either put their workers on unpaid or paid leave, create shifts, or have people work from home. You have to talk to your boss to see what's up. And if your company has 10 or less people, it's business as usual for now.
What happens if I'm on unpaid leave? Do I get any government benefits?
Yes, the Israeli Finance Ministry has just announced that people who are put on unpaid leave have access to improved unemployment benefits. Now, instead of having to have been employed for at least a year to be eligible for unemployment, those who have only been employed for 6 months are now eligible for unemployment.
What if I'm a freelancer or I have my own small business?
It's just been announced that Israel will also be distributing grants of up to 6,000 shekels for freelance workers and small businesses that are taking a hit. Small business owners will also be able to defer their property tax, water, national insurance, and electricity bills. And if they can't make the payments, banks will also be offering loans to small and mid-sized businesses.
I have a mortgage I need to pay. Will the bank help me in any way?
Banks will also be offering a delay in mortgage payments for a few months.
Are banks still working?
Yes, and so are ATMs. Also, banks are expanding digital services for remote transactions so that even people in quarantine can get the help that they need.
I've been ordered into home quarantine, but is it an actual requirement? What will happen if I break it?
It is legally binding if the health ministry orders you to go into self-quarantine. If you violate instructions, you could face up to 7 years in jail and up to 5,000 shekels in fines. Plus, Israel has created a police unit that is dedicated to tracking down quarantine breakers, so don't be one of them.
Who should I call if I have questions about the coronavirus in Israel?
You can call the Health Ministry's coronavirus hotline at star 5400, or you can call your health insurance provider or personal physician. So, on that note, stay safe, friends, socially distance yourself, and flatten that curve. So with restaurants and malls and most of the country on lockdown, how much will Israel's economy truly be impacted? Well, joining us with some answers is ILTV affiliate and consumer behavior expert Dr. Vili Abraham. Thanks for joining us. All right, so since Netanyahu's speech last night, about 100,000 workers attempted to get unemployment benefits from the government, but only 15,000 actually managed to get them. How is Israel going to be getting the help out to so many people all at once?
Yeah, so apparently about 100,000 people try to fill out forms in order to get unemployment benefits, but only 15,000 manage, probably because the website has crushed. Following this backlash, because a lot of people were angry because every day you don't report that you're unemployed, you don't get money for it.
Right.
So in response to that, the Employment Services Authority said that it will post a form to social media and also provide an email to allow more people to register.
But I can't even imagine the overload that the government offices here are going to be dealing with. And the question is, you know, what's going to take place. Now, what industries are taking the biggest hit right now due to the coronavirus, and how are they going to overcome this loss?
Well, actually, it's all industries besides the food industry, and all of them are taking a very hard hit. And there are several things that they can do. The government is offering sponsored loans. 85% of the loans are sponsored by the government. It's also going to issue 6,000 shekels in grants to small businesses that have proven that they've incurred a loss as a result of the coronavirus, and that would not be a problem because every small business has incurred a loss. There will also be a deferral of payments, tax payments and land tax payments, and the government is also about to allocate 5 billion shekels as an economic stimulus pack in order to get the economy going. So it's not going to be 100%, it's not a panacea because there really is deep trouble for a lot of businesses economically, but it's at least something to help them through this difficult time.
Now, the Israeli Health Ministry has proposed turning hotels into hospital facilities for patients who have coronavirus. Is this a move that could help the hotel industry here, or, I mean, what does that look like?
Okay, so we're actually talking about one chain, and we're talking about 3 locations: Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Haifa. And the health minister is going to take up 1,200 rooms in order to quarantine coronavirus patients. And the government is going to pay 80 shekels per night for room. And I don't think it's going to make a major dent in the industry because a lot of hotels have closed down. So if one hotel is able to have 1,200 rooms filled up, still you have so many hotels and so many rooms that are empty at this time.
How much do you believe that the Israeli economy is truly going to lose? You know, because experts say right now that we're looking at $12 billion in damages. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we're talking about, if you look at the number of unemployed, right now it's about 100,000, and it's expected to increase to hundreds of thousands, probably more than 200,000 according to some estimates. And that's going to cost the government 4 billion shekels. If you look at the halt in economic activity, that's something that has lowered the GDP by 1.6%, and that's costing the economy 25 billion shekels. So overall, we're talking about, right now, this can change dramatically, 45 billion shekels in damages right now.
All right, Dr. Vili Abraham, thank you for joining us, although the, the news is not so happy.
We'll hope for better times soon.
Moving on, many researchers in Israel say they're close to developing a vaccine for the coronavirus, but experts warn that it will still be at least a year and a half before any such product reaches the general public. So how long will it actually take for a vaccine to hit the market? Here to explain is the director of the International Master's Program in Public Health at the University of Haifa, Dr. Manfred Green. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, now before we talk about the vaccine, I want to ask you a little bit about the symptoms of the coronavirus. How do you know if you have it?
Well, basically, you don't really know you have it. It's a respiratory virus which has symptoms that are very similar to flu initially. They may be mild respiratory symptoms with some fever, but it can happen with neither or both of those, or at least one of those. And then it would, in the more severe cases, it would develop into pneumonia.
Okay. Now, how at risk are you of the virus developing into something that is severe or deadly? Because I think that's what most people are concerned about.
What we know about it from what we've seen particularly from China and Italy and some of the cases we've seen here, is that it's essentially in most people a mild illness. So particularly in people, say, under the age of 50 or so. As you get older, it tends to become more severe in some of the people. And in older people, it can be very severe. And unfortunately, it can develop into very severe pneumonia with some possibility of death.
All right. Now, we've heard several times that there are companies in Israel and other countries that may have a potential vaccine. But when will a vaccine actually be available realistically?
Well, I have experience on other vaccines, not on this vaccine. And vaccines usually take a long time to produce. They're complex products. So I'll very quickly tell you that other than just developing it and having it in a bottle, it has to actually go through a series of tests to make sure about very, very much two things. One is that it's safe, and the other that it's effective. In other words, it doesn't harm you, doesn't cause any severe adverse effects, and that it actually works. And these are two things that usually take a long period of time. You need generally periods of time both to evaluate them, and also you need to give it to quite a number of people until you're actually sure that it's safe.
What do we know so far about the coronavirus that can help us develop an effective vaccine?
Coronavirus, we don't actually have any vaccines against the coronavirus. It's a family of viruses, and we know that there are some of them that are around all the time and cause the common cold. And we've had it with SARS and MERS and so on. But up to date, there have been no effective vaccines against the coronavirus family. So it's a new field, basically.
But how long do you think that this, coronavirus is going to be an issue to public health? Are we looking at a few months, or is this going to go on for longer?
Well, some of these viruses, unusually, they may stay for a while and then just disappear. But most of the time, a virus such as this, which has been around for a long time, or at least it's been very widely spread, not so much for a long time, but the way it's spreading, it looks like it's going to be with us for a long time. So certainly our predictions are that it'll be with us at least for a year, and then maybe it will become a regular winter virus, probably with milder symptoms, we think.
Interesting. What is your take on the guidelines that the Israeli Health Ministry, has been putting out? Are they appropriate for dealing with the coronavirus, or is this too much?
I think everyone is thinking about the same thing, and we ourselves obviously are trying to decide what is good and what is the optimal. At the moment, we really need to what is known as to buy time. We need time to make sure that the health system is actually prepared for a large number of cases, and particularly a large number of very severe cases. So basically, what is being done at the moment is to try and delay the spread of the virus. And the only way that you can do that is to actually separate people from one another.
Well, I guess we're going to have to see how this all plays out and hope that it ends sooner than later. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Green.
Thank you very much. All the best.
The 23rd Israeli Knesset has been officially sworn in. 40 back-to-back groups of 3 lawmakers at a time took their oaths of office at the Knesset's main hall on Monday, and Blue and White Chair Benny Gantz is now looking to the members of this new body to form a coalition. But who's in this new government, and how different is it from the 21st and 22nd Knessets, which both formed and disbanded in just the past 11 months? Well, 112 of the 120 Knesset members from the last election will continue to serve, and it includes 30 women, up from 28 after the vote in September. As for who will join the coalition, well, Benny Gantz has been officially tapped by President Reuven Rivlin to be the first to try and form a new government, and he's already reportedly received the support of the Labor Gesher Meretz party and the Israel Beitenu party under Avigdor Lieberman. The joint list, meanwhile, will give support for the formation of a government from the outside, meaning we would have a coalition of less than the 61-seat majority that's reliant on the support of the majority Arab joint list faction, which is not supported by all the new MKs in the left. Well, Blue and White number 2 Yair Lapid explains that this is the only option, accusing Prime Minister Netanyahu of not being serious about forming a unity government under Blue and White's leadership. Also, Lapid says that contrary to concerns, the joint list would only be needed once to form the coalition, after which they would not hold any power over the government. Still, critics argue that that's simply not true, and with the right-wing and religious bloc refusing to deal with Gantz independent of Netanyahu, it's highly likely that the Knesset will pass a vote of no confidence, throwing us back into 4th elections anyhow. In fact, the Prime Minister's Likud party is reportedly already preparing for that eventuality. And now joining us in the studio with more on the pending coalition negotiations is a founder and president of the Jerusalem-Washington Center, Gideon Israel. All right, so negotiations between, Likud and the blue and white on a national unity government began in earnest on Monday, of course, with a secret meeting that raised optimism that an agreement would actually come to fruition. But is there still a chance for a unity government? Because that does not seem to be the case right now.
Well, the glue that holds blue and white together is that they want to replace Bibi. And therefore, while some may lean towards saying, you know what, let's make a unity government, Netanyahu will be here for another year or 2 years, and then we've gotten rid of him. Others in the blue and white party can't even wait that long, and they want Netanyahu out now, yesterday.
Right.
So I think the chances for a unity government are slim, especially because some of the more, let's call it, hardliners of the blue and white party say we ran on on replacing Netanyahu. So now if we sit in a government under Netanyahu, we're undermining our whole reason for creating this party.
Benny Gantz has 28 days to form a government. He claims that he wants to form a government that's going to be as wide as possible, but we're seeing that there are people in the ultra-Orthodox parties that are refusing to even sit with him, the leaders of the ultra-Orthodox parties. So what are his chances of really getting any support from the right at this point?
Probably slim to none, because the Haredi parties, ultra-Orthodox parties, and not the religious Zionist parties, but the ultra-Orthodox parties, once upon a time they were kind of like swing parties. They could potentially go this way, potentially go that way. But today the left has gone so far to the left that it's difficult for the ultra-Orthodox parties to actually sit with the left. And I think Netanyahu's done a good job of consolidating his bloc of 58 of the four parties, the two ultra-Orthodox parties and the religious Zionist, and they seem pretty tight, and they're not gonna go with Gantz, so I think he's pretty solid.
All right, well, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. We have bigger fish to fry right now. Okay, thank you for joining us. Well, on a lighter note, finally, the Knesset is welcoming one more new member of staff, and let's just say its newest recruit is a lot more huggable than your average MK. The latest member is a puppy that has just joined the ranks of the Knesset Guard's K9 unit, which protects Knesset members from bomb threats and other potential attacks. And they're asking for our help in naming their latest fuzzy recruit. They've just released a poll to the public asking us to help them name their newest pup. And are you ready for the options? Well, we've got Elsa, Lichi, Mika, and Zara. The question now is what you think the appropriate name is for a natural-born IDF dog soldier. And the Knesset Guard is reminding the public that one of their guard's 4 dogs is named Anna, which is a not-so-subtle hint that they probably prefer the name Elsa because, in case you didn't know, the 2 main characters in the popular kids movie Frozen are named Elsa and Anna. Anyhow, the puppy was recruited after the retirement of one of the Guard's oldest serving dogs last July. The unit's commander, Yair Basheli, has been looking for a replacement since then and has finally found the right lady. A Labrador puppy born 2 months ago in the Manof Youth Village near the city of Akko. The pup already comes from a family of winners, apparently. Her dad, Marcel, from Finland, has won many prestigious dog competitions, and her mom, Beata, birthed another pup that has already won 5 championships across the world. So no matter what she's named, it's fair to assume that she's already going to be a winner. I voted for lychee personally because that's my favorite fruit. All right, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be a little rainy and cool with average lows of about 49 Fahrenheit or 9 degrees Celsius. And then tomorrow you can expect more rain and a drop in temperatures to a high of around 58 or 14 Celsius. And now before we go, let's take a look at what's going viral in Israel on tubing. That is certainly one way of spending your time stuck in quarantine or just on unpaid or paid leave or whatever it is. I just am wondering what happens when that ball drops. You can actually see people from below are filming, and I think that was taking place in Spain. But obviously, Israel is the capital of Matkot, so we'll see that coming probably to Israel very soon. All right, that is it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.76 shekels to the American dollar. For more news from ILTV, please like ILTV on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube and Roku TV pages. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for watching.